Thank you and good morning. My name is Robbert, Dijkgraaf, director of the Institute, and it's a great pleasure to open what I think is the largest family gathering we have had here at the Institute. I feel it's just a wonderful occasion to have you all here celebrating Avi and his work, and of course a warm word of thanks from me and the whole Institute, particularly I think for the organizers who will work very hard, the speakers, all of you. And of course, to you, Avi, because you will have to make smart remarks after every talk. And I hope just we see many embarrassing family pictures that we can use to blackmail you over many years. As you all know, Avi is the Herbert Maas Professor in the School of Mathematics. And I think we are not only celebrating in this workshop his contributions to science, but also the field, theoretical computer science and its significance. And I know, Avi, that you, as nobody else, have this very broad view of the field. I've been through many tutorials explaining in such a kind of energizing way the impact and the extent of the field. Now, of course, Avi is breaking a rule here in the sense that usually the rest of the world, academic world, celebrates 60th birthday. The School of Mathematics, we shifted to 61, but you put it back to 60, which is good because actually we are in some sense good to go back when the day basically we're born, which was September 9th of 1956. And of course, 1956 was kind of interesting to go back to the Institute at that time, because in some sense, at that moment, of course, computer science was flourishing here, but it was basically almost stopped, because 1956 was the year that John von Neumann was very active, but he was already ill, and he would pass away soon after, in February 57. It's also the year I was looking up in 56. The first hard drive was produced. It contained 5 megabytes and it weighed a ton. I saw some beautiful pictures where a big crane is lifting it into a plane. And if you think, well, if you know, it's just kind of amazing. I think it's a field that made such enormous progress. On the other hand, we often joke here that we were kind of almost cursed at the Institute, because so to say, our first computer scientist being von Neumann, these just basically impossible big shoes to fill. And so I think that's why it took such a long time for the Institute to kind of regroup and understand that this field of computing and computer science might actually stay, and that might actually end up to be something important. But how can we kind of come back to sort of golden age? And I think it was incredibly powerful that the School of Mathematics here in the early 1990s discovered and that and recognized the potential of theoretical computer science here at the Institute, but particularly I think in the School of Mathematics. And they began to explore the possibility of reopening this area of research, and started with a postdoctoral fellowship and then a seminar program. And in the end, Avi, you came here as a visiting professor, and then came here permanently. And I think at that time launched, I would say, the second golden area of theoretical computer science here at the Institute. In some sense, I think anything you kind of touch seems to turn into gold. I already looked at the weather, and if you all see, it was kind of gloomy weather. And we wake up this morning, it's glorious weather. One of my standard jokes is, as you know, for Neumann, one thing he did was doing with Czerny, doing the first computerized weather predictions. And the first one, I think, took 48 hours to predict. So I would say, well, they perfectly predict yesterday's weather, but I think we became much better. And it looks like, if I look at my weather app, there's like 3 days of blue, clear skies. And so something special must be happening, people think. And now we know what it is. It's the extended Avi family gathering. One of the jobs I have to do at these kind of occasions is just remind you of the facts And I think we have to just do this so that we're all at the same page. Just remind you that Avi received his undergraduate education in computer science at Technion, and we're just talking to Nora that you were together in the same, more or less in the same class. So it was a very, very special year also. He taught at University of California in Berkeley, was a visiting scientist at IBM, and then a fellow at MSRI in Berkeley again. In '86, he went to the Hebrew University, where he served as senior lecturer and associate professor, and then as chairman professor at the Computer Science Institute. He has been awarded many, many prizes, although I think in some sense, I just have the feeling that this conference, Avi, is your biggest award, to have all your friends and family here. But I just mentioned the Gödel Prize, the American Mathematical Society's Conan Prize, of course the Neven Linna Prize by the International Mathematical Union, and the Yoram Ben Porat Presidential Prize for Outstanding Researchers. One thing that I sometimes also feel is that there's a very strange way in which we in the academic world look at fields. And I think, particularly I think for computer science, theoretical computer science, I would almost like to say there's like the curse of being applicability. I think people often think that, the way, the intellectual depth plus the use, the practical use, they kind of add up to 100%. So I think if there's one exception to that rule, it's computer science, because I think it adds up to at least 200%, and I think in Avi's case, even much higher. So it's a great pleasure to welcome you here, but I would say it's terrific that we're celebrating Avi and we're celebrating the field, and I hope recognizing also some of the contributions that the Institute has made through, in fact, in many ways, through the wonderful members and guests and many of you here I know have been here so many times. But I also hope that we're kind of celebrating, in some sense, the future of this field and get a lot of inspiration, because I think, in some sense, the birth, so to say, of computer science at the Institute was perhaps one of the most significant moments in the history of this place. And I'm always reminded of these words that Van Neumann spoke. I think when he was doing these weather predictions, somewhere in his, I think George Dyson writes this in his book, somewhere he makes a remark, and he says, the moment he was doing these weather predictions, he said, well, and this is at the height of the Cold War, he says, actually issues of weather and climate will entangle the interest of countries more than nuclear arms, which is quite a powerful thing to say. But I think he was kind of wrong in the sense that actually the field he developed, computing in its broader sense, entangled the world more than he could think of. And this entanglement, I feel, is actually physically present in the room. I think you are all in a very powerful way intertwined with Avi. And it's wonderful to have you here celebrating him. And I just want to say, if any of you have really embarrassing pictures, just give them to me and then I'll find a good occasion. So again, warm welcome. I hope you enjoy these days here. We have many events and other moments to celebrate. But it's great to have you all here. And I just want to wish you a wonderful 3 days of conference. Thank you very much for coming.